What's up everybody, this is Tubasolo coming at you with another gear discussion. Today we're going to be discussing secondary lighting. So this discussion is not about your primary source of light like your headlamp, but rather this is your backup light source. Now let's stop right there for just a second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to link a poll in the upper right hand side of the screen, right over here. Take a moment and answer this quick question for me. What do you use for your lighting source? Are you just a headlamp kind of a person, or do you bring a secondary light source just in case your first light source, which typically is your headlamp, fails on you? I'd greatly appreciate it if you take the time to answer that question, and as time progresses and more people watch this video and provide an answer to the poll, we can start to see trends and patterns that form and kind of get a glimpse of what other backpackers and hikers are doing. Now, I want to tell you a quick story here. Back in late June 2018, a bunch of us went up to San Gorgonio for our annual San Gorgonio Summit Camp. We had a great day. All of us made the summit, and it was wonderful. And as the sun began to set, a strong wind kind of started pushing in on us. And we had a pretty sizable group overall, so kind of all the rock rings up there at the summit were taken. And so my buddy Matt and I decided to go down into the open field that's on the summit of San Gorgonio and set up our camp over there. Well, long story short, due to the wind, I experienced a significant gear failure that ultimately caused us to just kind of pack up and head down, and eventually later that evening we ended up at High Creek Camp. Well, turns out that I wasn't the only one that experienced a massive gear failure up there. As we were kind of packing everything up and darkness is really starting to set in, Matt mentioned to me that his headlamp was completely dead. So here we are at 11,000 feet, and we want to head down, and Matt's only light source, other than his cell phone, which ultimately wouldn't have lasted that terribly long, Matt's primary light source is completely dead, and he did everything he needed to. He charged the batteries, he has a quality product, and he expected it to work, but when he went to use it, just nothing. So cue in now my secondary light source. It's a light that I got from my buddy Eddie, which he got off one of those, iffy Chinese deal websites. I think it was Banggood or something like that. He got like 3 of them, each for $1.99, and he gave me one of them. It's certainly a decent light. It takes one AA battery, and it weighs 2 ounces. And I'll show you guys that right there. And you got 2 ounces right there. Due to the lights over here in this little studio that I have, you may or may not be able to see this too well, but it's essentially got 2 settings on it. It has a flood setting and a focus beam setting. Now, this light serves a purpose, and it serves that purpose rather effectively. And due to it being able to serve the purpose that I intended it for, I carried it on every single trip. Now, the funny thing is that I've been carrying this mini flashlight for about 1.5 years, and the kicker is I never actually used it. So, most people would look at that and say, you know what, nuts to this light. Take it, they take it out of their kit and really never think about it again. But despite that, I'd been carrying this flashlight for just such an emergency as this, and needless to say, both Matt and I were very, very happy that it was available. Now, here's the thing. This one experience pretty much solidified that no matter where I go backpacking or hiking, I'm going to go ahead and bring some kind of secondary light source, so that if I ever have a problem where my primary light source, which typically is my headlamp, goes south, I've still got some kind of an option to light up the scenery around me, whether that means I'm setting up camp or I'm heading down a mountain. I have some method to light up the trail for me. Now, fast forward to present day, and we know a few things based off of the experiences I've gone through. Number 1, I'm always going to carry a secondary light source. Number 2, that light source that I'm going to carry, I'm probably never going to need it, but the second I do need it, I'm going to be very happy that I had it. And in keeping with UL tradition in general, that's, as I'm picking my secondary light source, it doesn't necessarily have to be massive. It just needs to serve a purpose effectively at the lowest possible weight that my budget is going to allow. For 1.5 years, I thought that this was the correct light, and it certainly did well. But despite that, I'm always looking for opportunities to downsize things, and this was a perfect area to go ahead and downsize, and I decided to pick up a new secondary light source. Nothing wrong with this old one, but since I knew I wasn't going to really need it, I wanted to see if I could downsize to something that would be good enough for a situation where I would need some kind of light source because my primary light source was just dead. Now, I have a buddy of mine named Donnie. He posts on a lot of my videos. Definitely check out his channel in the description below. But Donnie, he posted on Facebook that he really enjoys his THRUNITE Ti3. So, based off of his post, I thought, why not pick up this little guy and see what all the hubbub is about, see exactly why Donnie loves this thing. Now that I have it, I can certainly see the appeal. It's a very small and light flashlight that runs on one AAA battery. It weighs 0.9 ounces. We'll go ahead and weigh that guy right here. And there you go, 0.9 ounces. And it has 4 settings on it. It has a Firefly setting, a low setting, a high, and a strobe setting. And per the documentation that came with this flashlight, the Firefly setting can stay on, it's right over here, this is the Firefly setting, it can stay on for 115 hours, but granted it's only 0.04 lumens, which admittedly, I can't really think of too many situations where I would use such a small amount of light, but let's say you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't want to burn your night eyes. This is a perfect setting for you to be able to kind of look around your backpack or look for something around your tent. The next setting up from that is the low setting, which is at 12 lumens, and according to the documentation it can last for 6.3 hours. And then the next setting up from that is the high setting, which, let's see here, it's 120 lumens and can stay on for 30 minutes. And lastly, the strobe setting, which you have to turn a specific number of turns to get into the strobe setting, but that also blinks at 120 lumens and can stay on for 1 hour. Now, when we compare that to my original light, which only has 1 setting, and mind you, it was enough to get us down back, from the summit of San Gorgonio back down to High Creek Camp, some 3-ish miles away. And we were moving at a pretty healthy pace, but at least this light worked for about 2 hours. Now, on the 1 setting that it had, it did, you can kind of tell when we got to High Creek Camp that it had died out a bit, but the important thing is that it was, the light was still on and the light was actually still usable. So Matt continued to be able to go down the trail using this light, even though it had somewhat diminished by the time we had gotten to camp. But why do I go through all this? I want to know your guys' thoughts. Is it worth switching out my old light that weighed a bit more and provided a steady enough light for about 2 hours for the smaller light that, definitely doesn't have the same power that this thing does, but I feel like it will still serve a purpose and do it effectively at a very low weight. And since I'm probably not going to be using it that often, I'm thinking it's probably a pretty good option for me. In lieu of carrying this thing, I'll just carry this little guy. Now, I know probably one of the first things that one is gonna say is that, is this thing gonna basically be powerful enough to give you the light that you need when you need it? Now, the one thing that we have to remember when we're talking about the forest and it's nighttime, I mean, the forest is dark as all can be at nighttime. So I really believe that 12 lumens is going to be enough for the forest to be able to see the trail or anything that I'm doing. I won't have to kick it into 120 lumens. I went ahead and I went into my backyard and tried the 12 lumen setting, and it was plenty. And I live, relatively in the city. I have the street lights that are on that kind of not. They don't allow the light to shine as bright as it can because you have all this other light spilling into your beam. But I really think when you consider the darkness of the forest, the 12 lumens is certainly going to be enough to get down the trail. But yeah, I go through all that because I want to know your guys' thoughts. Leave your comments below and let me know what you think. Am I making a good decision here to switch out this light for this light? I personally think that I do, but I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch this video and respond. If you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell for notifications. That way you never miss a video. On this channel, I'm always doing adventure videos, gear videos, tabletop gear discussions just like this one, and from time to time, I'll even do a backcountry cooking video. But yeah, I look forward to reading and responding to all your comments, and we'll see you next time.